Right, hello, welcome to Sisyphus Complex Solution. This is episode 195 and it's called Transformation. The title this week has a couple of different meanings, but one more than the other. In terms of the MOD audit, sure, I mean, there's more offices that we don't need that I'll be running through that we could be transforming and doing some transformation to the MOD to make it more of an efficient fighting unit, but more on that later. But in addition though, because the government is determined to create trannies effectively, I think it's time we gave them something similar to what they want, but just not quite. Effectively something that is less soy boys in dresses and more turning men into a vengeful force. But again, more on that later. And before I continue too much in that, yes, normally when I start these videos, I will have poured out my first drink of the day. Not so this time. I've already had a few, so it'll be what it'll be. Might be interesting on that basis. So anyway, let's get on with the audit side of the MOD. If it'll work. There we go. Right, so this week's audit side of the MOD begins with the Advisory Group on Military and Emergency Response Medicine. Now, I'm not going to be showing the financials because the only information that has been available, or that I can find that's available, is that there are, depending on which source that you look at, but the more, what seems to be the most relevant source amongst those available suggests that there are 31 members and costing 41,000 per year. So that's hence the entry number that I've put at the top there. Now, this group was formed in 2008 to replace the Advisory Group on Medical Countermeasures. And immediately I suppose I can state that the problem that we've got here is that all they really do is meet once every 3 years. And it seems that since the formation of this, they managed to do that twice. Bless their cotton socks. So there's literally nothing reported since 2014. I do kind of consider that to be a bit of an indicative year, really, because from some of the previous findings that I've had, we can look back to that particular period of time as being relevant to what then became the Warp Speed program agenda. And so I covered that in episode 91, anybody that's interested in that. Now, just as a reminder, if you don't know what warp speed means, then the priorities really are basically everything that these people are claiming as a responsibility gets thrown completely out the window in favour of experimenting on people and to help with the consequences. That would be a short version of it. So it is open to question for our boys, really, and that is to because we do know within a military setting they are, I would suggest, experimented on a little bit more than normal. So maybe they might want to be, those that have been in the forces might want to be informing us a little bit more about what has been forced onto them in the past 12 years. And so, I mean, I'm genuinely interested. If there is anyone out there that's been in the forces that's got an answer on that, do let us know. So, even in the 2014 report, all that particularly did was demand that this organisation needed to exist, and it needed to be paid for, literally then doing nothing subsequently. Because if they did live up to obligation, like I said, there would be a written record in particular of their complete failure of duty, considering that the military were going around after the coronavirus situation got into full gear. So there's been a bit of a failure of duty there. No wonder they don't want to write about anything. So essentially what it does seem that, irrespective of the small amount of money, what we've effectively got here is a non-entity. But potentially one that, I say, if we do have information from our boys that can be brought forward as to what's been happening to them since 2014, it could represent something that could be of importance, and the kind of failings behind this safe and effective priority and evidence-based medicines and so forth. But that's open to those people to speak on those matters. So I suppose the only thing else that I can say about this, because there really isn't enough information to say too much, is just to have an open invite to any of those boys and say, well, you know, feel free to get in touch. If you've got some evidence of these things, it'd be good to know. And yes, things have got to the stage where I don't feel like being polite and putting it in a glass anymore. Next one. Right, so now we've got the Defence Nuclear Safety Expert Committee, where the finances for this are not clearly stated again, but according to the framework document, which, if I remember rightly, and that'll be a link in the description for it, the budget for this is covered within the Defence Nuclear Organisation / Enterprise that I covered in episode 181. Now, the name of the committee basically lets you know what this is supposed to be about, and the only thing of interest to add to this particular these few paragraphs that they've got available is one that is another paragraph that comes from within their review report from 2024, and which is this. So according to them, there's evidence of duplication of bodies and committees. Really? Do you think? Where I would disagree, though, is that it's not just a matter of those bodies or organisations being able to coordinate better. It's a matter of abolishing those that are completely unnecessary ponces. So you can guess which one this was going to fall into. There's really nothing else much to say on this one either. So at this point, I would normally be going into another office, despite the fact that I said last week I think there's only one or two more to finish the MOD. But as I've done the standard checks that I do, it turns out that it's not going to be as simple as that, because there are yet more organisations under the MOD that I still need to cover before I can then go into the actual fundamentals of the Army, Navy and Air Force. But rather than do that now, I've decided to put those additional areas to one side and to deal with them next week, because obviously since, I mean, literally not too long after I'd finished recording last week, something else started to take place which has become rather relevant, and I think it requires at least a few words. And so obviously the Iran situation kicked off, and the UK is getting an awful lot of criticism along with Spain. Obviously the first point to make is that, and I have been making this situation known online as well for anybody that's bothering to follow me there, the audit process that I've been conducting over the past 8 months already demonstrates that any involvement from us would literally be a case of all mouth and no trousers. The fact that we've had these constant wankers claiming that, oh yes, we're going to go to fight against the Russians, blah, blah, blah. I keep on saying, from everything that I've been finding out within this audit, you couldn't fight one of the town villages in this country, let alone go fight a war against the fucking Russians. All we've had from this country for the longest time now is a lot of people talking the Billy Big Balls talk. And the simple reality is we can't even get a single warship out of dock. Because first and foremost, apparently it's been fitted for a different task, according to their rhetoric. I mean, apart from floating and firing shit at people, I'm not entirely sure what the other task would be. But as of today, they're also turning around and saying, well, we haven't been able to get the repairs and everything done in time because we only work 9 to 5. Yeah, you go get that. Go get those Ruskies. Yeah. So what we're actually seeing here is an expose, really, as to what a complete and utter retarded load of shit the UK military has been turned into, as I've been trying to point out over the last 8 months. When they've been, like I said, when they've been screaming and shouting about, oh, we're going to do the, oh, we're going to get together with the Europeans and we're going to fight this country and we're going to fight that country. No, you're not capable of fighting anyone. Full stop. And the only problem that you've got at the moment, and that everybody's desperately trying to wiggle out of, is the fact that this complete non-entity of the UK military has just been laid bare for all to see. That's the reality of it. In terms of this situation of getting, you know, you got the criticism and that from the allies. So the US and old Trumpy boy and that is all upset about it. And you've got a few of these EU countries going, oh, look at me, Trumpy. They suddenly want to be Trumpy's best friend. Oh, look at me, I've got a couple of things that I can send out the way. Gay bastards. Quite frankly, I don't give a damn. I really don't give a damn. I've got no interest in the fact that you've got EU wankers like Germany and France that are turning around going, yeah, we will give you some equipment because we fucking paid for it. That's why. I've already run through that. We've been funding the rearmament of Germany. We've got an agreement with France to help them. All at the same time as we make sure that we've got fucking nothing. So do I really care about some EU wankers that have been calling Trump for years to suddenly be going, oh yeah, Donald, we've got something for you? Fuck off. Couldn't care less. These people are not our allies. As far as the UK is concerned, you're not our allies and you never were. We can try to pretend like we could make any difference to anything whatsoever. But reality's got to hit home sooner or later. And quite frankly, if anything, in that it does the dual thing of exposing us for being the complete fucking, being run by complete fucking idiots that have destroyed our military. The fact that those out in the European Union that are now suddenly kissing the ring, showing the exact kind of scumbags that they are, there's an awful lot actually being exposed here. I mean, the fundamental of it is if the US and Israel want to go out and attack Iran, that's fine. Go do your thing. That's up to you. Doesn't whether we've got anything or not doesn't have to involve us. Every time you want to go out and start fucking blanket bombing all across the bloody Middle East, doesn't mean to say that we have to do anything with you. We've got to get rid of the fuckers from in our own country, let alone bombing them over there. If the US and Israel depended on the likes of us to get involved, my answer to that would be, well, don't start shit in the first place if you needed us to be involved. And if you did actually know anything to the extent that you think you do, well, you wouldn't have asked us in the first place, because you know there isn't anything to give. I mean, even the crap old stuff that our boys used to have to rely on out in places like fucking Afghanistan and Iraq and what have you, that made us become nicknamed the borrowers to the Americans because we didn't fucking have anything then either. What the crap that they had then, that's been given away to the fucking Ukrainians, who have now been caught by the Hungarians and that doing their money laundering operation. As if we didn't know that. I don't know. The only thing this is going to end up doing for us is that it gets a load more of the fucking sand people extremists and rapists being pushed more in our direction. Which, I mean, because you've had the likes of, I mean, I suppose Maya Tusi over here, because he's an Iranian that's in the UK, with the, oh yay, go Donald, go bomb the fucking place. Marvellous. Why is it that so many Iranians have been coming to this fucking country, both before and now after? If it's all such an amazing thing, how come a whole bunch more Iranians are heading towards the fucking UK now? As if we haven't got problems enough. And it's not as if every single fucking Iranian that turns up on our shores is suddenly the same as Maya Tusi, is it? They do tend to end up being an awful lot more like the fucking Afghanis and Pakistanis for some unknown reason. We can't even defend our own fucking borders. Everybody knows that. So who do you think is going to be coming out of these places and heading our direction? Fuck's sake. We've been run by retards in this country since 1990, so there's a reason why we don't have anything to fight with. There's a reason why we've now got completely open borders to let every Tom, Dick and fucking Mohammed come through the door. So can we cut all of this deluded bullshit about, oh yeah, we're also going to go and fight Russia? Because that, surely to God, has to be out of the window completely now. Anybody that turns around and says, oh yes, Britain now needs to be going full bore on that and we need to be fighting Russia after this shit show. So is this an issue about Starmer himself? Is he reluctantly being dragged into this? Well, the first point to make really in that is that it's not as if it's entirely down to him. I hate to say that because he is an absolute piece of shit. But he's not had anything to actually go in with in the first place. The biggest problem you've got with the likes of Starmer is that his first priority has been to go to an evening party and snuggle up and kiss and cuddle with fucking Hamas terrorists that are in the UK. Because they're under the name of Palestine, so therefore suddenly they're not terrorists. As if he was ever going to do anything different. There's nothing that man would ever do for the benefit of us. But then, like I said, the fact that we've not had a military for a very, very long time, most of the audit period that I've been covering hasn't been based on when Ukrainian bumboy there has been involved. It's been a long drawn out process on that to make the military as bad as it is. It doesn't matter what position Starmer takes. There's nothing for him to do anyway. So yeah, he might as well just go off and get a few more Ukrainian bumboys and have a shag with the latest Palestinian. Because it ain't going to make any difference, is it? He's a traitor along with all the rest of them going back 36 fucking years. The only option he's got is to once again try to pretend that the UK can do anything in terms of offering some kind of an assistance, which would literally just have to be pure propaganda because there isn't anything to offer. I mean, even turning around and saying, "Oh, you can use you can use our bases in Cyprus." The only thing I'm surprised about, realistically, there and that is he hasn't turned around and said, "We're now going to, seeing as we've been giving the Chagos Islands to Mauritius, giving Gibraltar back to the fucking Spanish, we're now going to give the bases in Cyprus to Iran." I mean, that's a basic logical next step that you'd expect from him. So just for a little bit of clarity here, and that, do I care about Iran being attacked? No, not in the slightest. Couldn't give a damn. I've said for quite some time now that the Muslims are that they've actually been set up, but they're too stupid to fucking know it. Not that I particularly care one way or the other, but they are going to be and have been weakened in their own nations by having all of their idiot rapist men sent into Europe, so that their nations are weakened, which then results in the sort of shit that we're seeing at the moment. And then all of those rapey men are inside our nations. And then what you get from that is you get people like me that'll turn around and go, "I don't think it's a really good fucking idea to have a whole bunch of rapey Muslims in the country." And that then ends up in a situation intentionally created so that we do have a domestic situation. And guess what's going to happen to those rapey Muslims in this country? If you Muslim boys thought you were going to be outbreeding us, you've kind of forgotten the part that we tend to kill you. And we only do that because you come here and act like rapey fucking barbarians. If you want to do that, fuck off back home and get bombed. Not really you don't really get much of a choice in the matter. Oh, I don't know. Despite the fact that you've got a whole bunch of nations that seem to think that they've got some sort of a hold over us as to what it is that we are going to end up doing one way or the other. The only thing the governments are able to do is push propaganda that gives those nations that think that they've got, nations and also in certain individuals, put it that way, it gives them this false hope that the propaganda is going to have some sort of an effect on the wider public. But unless that intention is literally just to have civil war, then it's not working. So then you have to question, well, is that actually the intent? which again I have stated in the past. Because when the public do take out the trash, if we're going to look at that as an intent, then that's them turning around and saying, oh, well, now we've got the reason for our authoritarian state to put the jackboot down. So you're fucked one way or the other. Business as usual, really. So basically, in that, it all boils down to the same old situation, which is that the only way that anybody's going to be able to get off this merry-go-round, get rid of all of the third world ponces and nonces, is to also make sure that you're getting rid of all of the commies and socialist retards. And whatever fucked up ideology it is that has had command over the governments for those 36 years. And it's a situation of putting the nation in a position where everybody learns the responsibility that we used to have to a degree. So I'm not one of these people that has rose-tinted glasses about what things used to be like. So I'm not going to be looking at these pictures that keep getting put up of whether somebody wants to choose the 50s or the 90s or whatever fantasy delusion they think of in those decades. I'm not going to regurgitate that kind of delusion. But just a basic responsibility that has been lacking for I can't remember how long back in history you'd have to look. But just have something that is a reality-based proposition. Because we've got to get rid of these idiots and lunatics. Because they just keep being exposed for the absolute morons that they are. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's going to go, oh, but, well, that Promethean action is one of them. That's, oh, Donald Trump has done this on purpose. And it's to tear down the British Empire's control over blah, blah. Oh, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. It's no more bloody based off of that than it is off of any other nonsense, bloody QAnon rubbish. Now, if we was to actually start getting some sense of responsibility and reality, as I keep on alluding to, and that I do have some sort of an answer from a military perspective as to what it is that we should do. And no, it's not Kemi Badenoch saying we need to put more money into military, because all you're going to be doing that is just putting more. That'd be another NHS situation. Everything's shit. Oh, let's throw more money at the shit so that that shit can then get spanked somewhere else. Anywhere but what it's supposed to be spent on. So no, that's not the answer. These are things that the answers that I have a rough idea about will be presented at the end of the audit of the MOD. But put it this way. The first priority is making sure that we do actually have a military that can defend our nation. The second consideration would be, if anybody wants us to be going out and fighting on their behalf, get your checkbook ready. Because we ain't doing this world police shit. That's not going to happen. So I'm not interested in anybody else's bullshit opinions about this sort of stuff. And, you know, I don't care if that's a problem for fake allies. And these people that have been absolutely determined up to now to help turn the UK into a complete shithole. And yes, I am talking about Europe. Fuck Europe. Their opinion is not needed. I'm not interested in them suddenly deciding to kiss Donald's ring and take our money to create their fucking military. They can kiss my ass. There's a reason why they've been the enemy of this nation throughout history. They haven't changed a bit. So, as far as the audit stage of the MOD is concerned, there's only the 14k to add to the benchmark period. And I suppose getting to the butt end of these numbers is getting more prescient in terms of whether we're going to get something that actually adds up to what it is that they're claiming. As for the policy suggestions, obviously both this medicine group and the nuclear committee would be completely abolished, mainly because one doesn't do anything and then the other one admits that it shouldn't exist either. So why have them? Utterly pointless. And so now I have to move into the stage that there's going to be some transfer taking place here. But I'll give a little bit of a lead up into it. Because this is the part where I've been up till, lately, and I've been going on about the DVLA. And I have had a bit more bullshit this week, including something today. But essentially what happened was, as anticipated, and as seems to be the process with these people, they tried to fuck me about again, and that's at the beginning of the week. And I made sure I declared to them I'm done with it. I'm done. You've pushed that. You've had every opportunity to do the right thing. You haven't taken it. And now it's my turn. The basic point to that is that I've said before, I'm nice until I'm not. And this is the part where they've decided to encourage that transformation. And so, no, this is not me becoming a faggot in a dress and calling myself Paula. This is more a case of me turning into fucking fire and brimstone. They wanted it. They're going to get it. So what does that mean in reality? Because that's obviously going to be a question for anybody that's even mildly interested. Well, suffice to say, you'll see some of it, but you won't see all of it. You will see a certain level of my vindictive side. And by vindictive, I mean somebody that doesn't really stop and is really quite relentless until my enemies are turned to fucking dust. And even then I'll spit on them. And it includes every single one of the organisations on the screen that you can see now. In terms of the little bits that have come through this week, and that, including the one today, because like I said, at the beginning of the week, I made it very clear that enough's enough. I'm done. I'm not fucking about anymore. they try to play their silly little bastard games, because they pushed me towards going into yet another fucking phase before I could do the other fucking phase, and the usual bureaucratic bollocks, where you're supposed to go into this other phase whilst having no ability to actually get in contact with whoever the fuck it is that they're talking about. So I've had responses from them, and I've also had including responses from the thieving bastards themselves, which is this Marston Holdings. Basically, they're operating under the name NSL. And NSL themselves got in contact with me to say, oh, you know, it's nothing to do with us, and that we're waiting for our instructions. To which my response to them was also, I really don't give a shit what your response is anymore. I'm done with you. And then today was the if you need some assistance in order to be able to go through to this next phase that doesn't fucking exist, I will gladly help you. Will you really? Will you really? We'll see. I'm letting them sweat on that fucker for the moment. But it won't make any difference. It won't make any difference because it's too late, because the transformation phase has already kicked in. The not nice anymore has already started. So one part of that you'll see, because I have to do certain things to follow this up. I say you won't see everything, but what you need to see, you'll see. And so what I'm going to do is a new little series, which I'll put on this channel rather than anywhere else. And I'm going to dig up every single piece of shit on all of them. What that means is on an organisational level, but much more than that, I'm going to do it on a personal level. I'm going to make this very, very personal. Anyone and everyone that works for or associates with these offices, for now, because it'll probably expand, every single fucking one of you is now fair game. Right the way down to the cleaners. I don't care who you are. I'll give an opportunity to any possible whistleblowers that there are out there to send some information through so that I don't go for them. Make sure you've got some evidence for it though. And it doesn't matter what kind of whistleblowing that you want to do. If you want to send me stuff to just grass up one of your fellow employees in these offices because somebody's having an affair with somebody at work or whatever, send me a bit of evidence, yeah. I'll take it. I'll quite happily destroy the lives of everybody that works in these places on any way necessary. If you play useful idiot for scum like this, you're fair game. I'm not interested in this just doing me job shit. And just to be absolutely clear, for when I've got Marston written there, I'm also talking about every single company that Marston owns, because I'll go into the details of that as well in this new series. So if you've got people out there that think that, oh, it'll just be the useful idiots at NSL, no, it won't. No, it won't. I'll look towards hitting the highest first and foremost. But if you think you're just some sort of merely little traffic warden and you're all so innocent, no. No, you've all made my shit list. Well done, you. There's a simple thing that too many people fail to understand. And too many people really do need to learn pretty fucking fast. When you enter and you sit on the side of the devil, you enter the field of play. And the way things are working at the moment, with organisations like this and the entire public sector that thinks that they can shit on everybody from a great height, that thinks that they can fart and their shit don't smell. No, 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 no. All 6.17 million one of you useless fuckers, because that's what you are. And every single one of these private sector leeches that fuck us all over for their pathetic little 30 pieces of silver as they all sit back and destroy the nation. No, no, no. Fair game. You want to play fuck around and find out? Well, let's get into it, shall we? The particular name for this new series that I'm going to do is called Retribution. I'll probably start that one next week. I've got a few things that I'm working on with it, but it should start next week. A number of you might think that once it does get started, you might not fully understand exactly what it is that I'm doing. I don't fucking care. I always have method to my madness. Always. As for the things that you won't see, well, you don't need to worry about that, do you? These people want to push and push until people snap. And the snap part that they've been looking for is a bit like I referred to in that about this whole Muslim situation, where we're supposed to suddenly all snap and out on the streets, full-on civil fucking war, do their dirty work for them so they can sit back and go, oh, now we need to put the jackboot down. No, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm not going to do that. You fuckers are the enemy. When you push and push to make people transform in this way, don't cry about it when you get what you wanted. I've already come across a couple of good pieces. Certain individuals. Oh, and believe me in that, I'm also getting the full list of names of every fucking single one of you. You people won't have... If you so much have farted in the wrong fucking direction, I'll find out. You want to play silly bastards? Let's play. And that's that little announcement about the DVLA. There'll be an awful lot more to come. And just to be absolutely clear, if there's anybody amongst these organisations that think, oh, I'll give it a couple of weeks and that and nothing will have happened, I don't think you understand the term relentless. You'll find out. You will fucking find out. So, at the end of that, no, I don't literally have to dress up like a clown to do these things. I don't have to give details of absolutely everything that I can and will do. I don't have to give massive details about absolutely everything within my life, my network, what I've got and what I haven't got. I just let people find out when it's needed. So anyway, I did mention last week that I'd been started to read a new book, which I wasn't overly impressed with, and it was this one about the Quakers. I did actually manage to finish it. I can't honestly say that I was overly impressed with it. It did get better, and possibly because of the length of the book, it didn't really go far enough. But for those that know nothing about the Quakers, it might be worth understanding that you're dealing with issues with the likes of Barclays and Lloyds Bank, and then all of those sweetie brands that you like. Yeah, you probably want to understand who they are as well. Your Rowntrees and your Cadburys and all that sort of stuff. And then understand that when you're dealing with those people and the funding your own demise situation, that becomes a bit of a problem. And then one more little irritation that I had during this week, and that relates to that term of funding your own demise, which any of you who have been with me for a while will know that that is a term that I've used for quite some time. And inside the book, there was a reference and a commonality towards Charlotte Gill, which is somebody that has become relatively well known on X for various different so-called exposés. And I sort of paid attention to her once she first started to do this, because she was talking about things that I'd already covered. And I thought, at the time I thought, that's a bit odd. Well, she did this interview with Andrew Gold, and she did turn around and say that she likes to refer to organisations like the Quakers as something that is based on funding your own demise, and that's a term that she likes to use. And I thought, was it? Is that a term that you like to use? Is that something that comes from you? Coincidence, isn't it? And I also found that from the interview that she gave, the way that she presented the extensive problems that relates to the Quakers and other stuff that she'd been presenting in a really quite soft-arsed manner, as if you was deciding as to whether you should have a cappuccino or a latte, as opposed to the quite literal problem of, do you want death or destruction? So I found that a little bit odd, to say the least. And if things had not taken another turn during the week, I might have been inclined to look at that one a little bit closer. But I've got bigger fish to fry for the moment. But before I go for the continued phase of the fuck around and now you're going to find out, I also decided to get another book to keep me a little bit distracted, at least for 5 minutes. And so I got the book from Rachel Wilson, Occult Feminism, The Secret History of Women's Liberation. Much of which I already knew, but I'm enjoying it anyway. I mean, there's so many bastards to tear down. There really is. I've nearly finished the book already. And it's obviously not going to last until the other book that I've ordered about the Crusades. Probably won't last until then, so I might need another couple of books in between. But the overriding thing really is that, like I said, I mean, when I do this new series, I'll start it with a bit of an explainer, so that the ball gets rolling with it. And like I say, I dare say many people will think, oh, well, what you're doing and that is, it's not going to amount to much. I don't think those people will understand what retribution means. I mean, back in the early days, it would have been a case of somebody causes some offence or something like that, and you deal with it immediately. But then there are other instances where you know damn well that it's not just a case of knocking 7 bells out of somebody. The ways that they look towards destroying you need to be visited upon them. I can do either. Have done and probably will do again. But this is the fun part. This is where things get interesting. Because I'm in most circumstances, I'm quite happy to just potter along, do my thing, run through an audit process and go, well, you know, you could do this, you should do this, you could discuss it, you can do whatever. It's out there, it's up to you. The overriding proposition behind it is, don't start bringing shit to my door. That's basically the main proposition. Do not bring your shit to my door. If you do, don't be surprised when you get a response. So that's the transformation part. People have decided that they want to try fucking with me. Well, okay, I'll fuck them right back. A lot harder. But when I'm looking at when I've been considering the title of the new series of the Retribution, the first episode I've already decided is going to be called Divine Retribution. And if you understand anything about that kind of terminology, it means that balance. So I'm not talking about just going hell for leather and destroy everything for no reason. I'm not looking towards destroying people that don't need to be touched. But when every single person is sitting in an organisation whose entire reason for being is to fuck everybody else over, no, fair game. That's retribution. It's not just somebody did this to me, therefore I will accept a certain amount of compensation. No, that doesn't work. Because it's not just me, is it? There's people that are consistently being targeted. People that are consistently being taken the piss out of. People are consistently being stolen from. It's not just about me. The balance of retribution will be sought in whatever way is needed. See you next week. Bye-bye.